You have been carrying more than most people will ever know, and somehow, despite the weight of disappointment, unanswered prayers, lonely nights, and seasons that seem to stretch far longer than you expected, you are still here. There is something powerful about that, not loud power, not the kind that demands attention or applause. It is the quiet strength that develops when a person keeps moving forward, even when life gives them every reason to stop. It is the strength that grows when tears are wiped away in private, when battles are fought in silence, and when faith survives days that seem determined to extinguish hope. If this season has felt long, if it has felt as though you have been waiting while everyone else moved ahead, if it has felt like doors remained closed no matter how hard you knocked, then this message is meant to remind you of something your exhaustion may have caused you to forget. God has not lost sight of you, not for a moment, not during the nights when you questioned yourself, not during the days when you felt invisible, not during the moments when your heart carried burdens that nobody else could see. There are people who only recognize value when it is celebrated publicly. But God sees value long before anyone else notices it. He sees the character being formed inside a person who continues to choose kindness after experiencing rejection. He sees the resilience developing inside a person who continues to believe after facing disappointment. He sees the wisdom being built through experiences that felt unfair, confusing, and painful. Sometimes the greatest transformations happen so quietly that the person experiencing them does not even realize how much they have changed. You may still see yourself through the lens of old disappointments, but you are not the same person who entered those difficult seasons. The storms altered you, the waiting refined you, the losses taught you lessons that comfort never could. The obstacles revealed strengths you did not know existed. There were moments when you thought you were simply surviving, but something much deeper was happening. You were becoming stronger, wiser, more compassionate, and more prepared than you realized. Many of the struggles you endured were not meaningless interruptions in your story. They became part of the foundation beneath your future. That does not mean every painful experience was good. Pain is still pain. Loss is still loss. Heartbreak is still heartbreak. Yet God has a way of bringing purpose out of places that once seemed empty. He has a way of creating beauty where people expected only scars. He has a way of using difficult chapters to prepare a person for blessings they could not yet understand. You may have spent years wondering why certain doors never opened. You may have questioned why opportunities disappeared just when they seemed close enough to touch. You may have watched other people receive things you prayed for and wondered whether your own time would ever come. Those feelings are deeply human. They do not make you weak. They do not make you faithless. They simply reveal that you have a heart that hoped, believed, and cared. Yet one of the hardest truths to accept is that not every delay is a denial. Sometimes what feels like a setback is actually protection. Sometimes what feels like abandonment is preparation. Sometimes what feels like silence is a season of development taking place beneath the surface. Think about the moments when life forced you to grow in ways you never would have chosen. Think about the challenges that revealed your endurance. Think about the hardships that strengthened your character. You would not have asked for those experiences, yet they shaped qualities within you that now define who you are. Your kindness cost you more than most people will ever understand. There were times when you gave support without receiving it in return. There were times when you showed compassion while carrying your own pain. There were times when you chose integrity, even when taking shortcuts would have been easier. Those decisions mattered. They still matter. The world often celebrates visible success, while overlooking quiet faithfulness. But God sees what others miss. He sees every sacrifice. He sees every act of generosity. He sees every moment when you chose hope instead of bitterness. He sees every time you kept going despite feeling discouraged. Nothing was wasted. Nothing escaped his notice. There are people who assume strength means never struggling, but true strength often looks very different. True strength is getting up one more time after being knocked down. True strength is continuing to love after experiencing hurt. True strength is maintaining faith when circumstances offer little evidence that anything is changing. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. Even now, there may be parts of your life that feel unresolved. There may be dreams that remain unfulfilled. There may be questions without answers. Yet beneath all of that uncertainty, something remarkable remains. You have not given up. The light inside you has not been extinguished. The part of you that believes tomorrow can be better than today is still alive. That matters more than you know. Many people lose their sense of possibility after disappointment, but you are still searching, still hoping, still believing that your story is not finished. That quiet persistence is evidence of a deeper resilience working within you. And sometimes the most unexpected blessings arrive after the longest periods of uncertainty. Not because suffering automatically guarantees rewards, but because growth often prepares people to recognize opportunities they once would have missed. God often works in ways that cannot be fully understood while they are happening. What appears ordinary today may later reveal itself as the beginning of something significant. What appears delayed today may later reveal itself as perfectly timed. What appears confusing today may later make sense in ways you never imagined. This is why it is important not to measure your worth by your current circumstances. Your value has never been determined by how many people recognize you, how quickly things happen, or how closely your life matches someone else's timeline. Your value comes from who you are. It comes from the character you have built. It comes from the compassion you continue to show. It comes from the perseverance that carried you through seasons that could have broken you. You are worth far more than the moments that tried to make you feel small. You are worth far more than the disappointments that attempted to define you. You are worth far more than the opinions of people who never understood your journey. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. He saw the battles you never spoke about. He saw the courage it took to keep moving forward when your heart felt tired. He saw the faith that survived even when certainty disappeared. And perhaps that is why this season feels different. Not because every problem has suddenly vanished, not because every answer has arrived at once, but because something is beginning to shift inside you. There is a growing awareness that your story still contains chapters you have not yet read. There is a growing understanding that your past does not have the final word. There is a growing confidence that difficult seasons do not define your destiny. The waiting may have been longer than expected, but your life is not stuck. The silence may have lasted longer than you hoped, but God is still present. The road may have been difficult, but it was not meaningless. Every lesson learned, every obstacle overcome, every moment of perseverance contributed to the person you are becoming. And the person you are becoming is stronger than the person who first entered the storm. There is something deeply comforting about knowing that God specializes in surprises that arrive when people least expect them. Not always dramatic moments, not always sudden miracles. Sometimes the surprise comes in the form of renewed peace. Sometimes it comes through a new opportunity. Sometimes it arrives as healing that slowly restores what pain once damaged. Sometimes it appears as strength you did not know you possessed. Whatever form it takes, it often arrives after a season that convinced you nothing was changing. That is why today is not the day to abandon hope. Today is not the day to assume your best days are behind you. Today is not the day to believe that your efforts were wasted. There is still purpose ahead. There is still meaning ahead. There is still beauty ahead. Your story has value even if it has not unfolded the way you expected. Your journey matters even if others never fully understand it. Your faith matters. Your kindness matters. Your endurance matters, and the God who carried you through every difficult chapter is still writing the next part of your story with wisdom, care, and purpose. There are seasons when life becomes so familiar with struggle that peace itself feels unfamiliar. After carrying burdens for a long time, many people begin expecting disappointment before it arrives. They learn to protect their hearts from hope because hope has felt costly in the past. They tell themselves not to expect too much, not because they lack faith, but because they have endured enough setbacks to become cautious. If that describes part of your journey, then understand that your caution was never proof of weakness. It was the natural response of a heart that had been tested repeatedly. Yet even while you were learning how to survive difficult days, God was quietly teaching you something else. He was teaching you endurance. He was teaching you discernment. He was teaching you how to remain grounded when circumstances changed around you. Some of the greatest victories in your life happened quietly, when nobody was watching. They happened when you resisted becoming bitter. They happened when you chose integrity despite temptation. They happened when you continued showing kindness after being treated unfairly. They happened when you got out of bed and faced another day, despite feeling emotionally exhausted. Those victories may never appear in headlines, but they shaped the person you have become. They strengthened parts of your character that cannot be purchased, borrowed, or imitated. Many people admire confidence without understanding the experiences that created it. Many people admire wisdom without understanding the mistakes, heartbreaks, and lessons that produced it. Many people admire resilience without understanding the storms that made it necessary. The strength you carry today was not created overnight. It was forged through countless moments when you had every reason to quit, but chose to continue. That is why you should never underestimate your own journey. You have already overcome things that once seemed impossible. You have survived days that you feared would break you. You have carried burdens that few people ever noticed. The fact that you are still moving forward is evidence of a remarkable strength working within you. Sometimes God prepares people for future blessings by first developing the capacity to carry them well. It is easy to focus on what has not happened yet, but there is also value in recognizing what has already happened inside you. You are not the same person you were years ago. Your perspective has changed. Your priorities have changed. Your understanding of what truly matters has changed. Experiences that once would have destroyed your peace now reveal your growth. Challenges that once would have defeated your confidence now reveal your resilience. Even your wounds have taught you something valuable. They taught you compassion for people who are hurting. They taught you patience with those who are struggling. They taught you empathy that could only be learned through experience. Not every struggle you endured was meaningless. Some of the seasons that felt most painful were also shaping qualities that would later become sources of strength. God often works beneath the surface long before visible results appear. Just as roots develop before fruit becomes visible, important growth often happens before external change arrives. This can be frustrating because human beings naturally want evidence. They want signs that their efforts matter. They want reassurance that their waiting has purpose. Yet some of the most significant developments occur in places that cannot immediately be seen. While you were worrying that nothing was happening, character was being formed. While you were wondering whether God had forgotten you, endurance was growing. While you were questioning the purpose of the delay, wisdom was increasing. Looking back one day, you may discover that what felt like an empty season was actually one of the most productive seasons of your life. You may realize that God was building foundations strong enough to support what was coming next. This is why comparison is so dangerous. When you compare your journey to someone else's, you only see part of the picture. You see outcomes without seeing preparation. You see results without seeing process. You see victories without seeing sacrifices. God is not writing identical stories for everyone. Your path has its own timing, its own lessons, and its own purpose. The fact that someone else received something sooner does not mean you were forgotten. The fact that another person appears ahead does not mean you are behind. Your story is unfolding according to circumstances, lessons, and opportunities unique to your life. One of the most healing realizations a person can have is understanding that their value exists independently of recognition. Many people spend years waiting for approval from others before they feel worthy. They wait for praise, validation, acceptance, or acknowledgement. Yet true confidence grows when you understand that your worth does not increase when people applaud you and does not decrease when they overlook you. God saw your value before anyone recognized it. Your purpose did not begin when others noticed you. Your significance was never dependent upon public approval. This truth becomes especially important during lonely seasons. Loneliness has a way of convincing people that they are unseen, forgotten, or unimportant. But being unnoticed by people is not the same as being unnoticed by God. He sees the sacrifices nobody talks about. He sees the effort behind every small step forward. He sees the battles fought within your heart. He sees the courage required to remain hopeful when circumstances seem unchanged. There were moments when you felt like giving up, yet you kept going. There were moments when discouragement whispered that nothing would ever improve, yet something within you refused to surrender completely. That inner strength was not an accident. It was evidence that God was sustaining you even when you felt weak. Perhaps that is why this season carries a different feeling. There is a sense that something is shifting, even if you cannot fully explain it. There is a sense that the waiting has been preparing you rather than punishing you. There is a sense that the lessons learned through hardship are beginning to reveal their value. Hope is returning, not as naive optimism, but as quiet confidence. It is the confidence that comes from surviving storms and discovering that God remained faithful through all of them. It is the confidence that comes from realizing your life contains more possibilities than your fears suggested. It is the confidence that comes from understanding that difficult chapters are not the entire story. You have come too far to let discouragement define your future. You have endured too much to believe your journey has no purpose. The seasons that tested you were also shaping you. The delays that frustrated you were also teaching you. The challenges that exhausted you were also strengthening you. And while you may not see every reason today, you can trust that your story is still moving forward. God has not forgotten the prayers you whispered. He has not ignored the tears you shed. He has not overlooked the faith you maintained through difficult times. The same God who carried you through every previous challenge remains present today, guiding your steps, strengthening your heart, and preparing you for blessings that may arrive in ways you never expected. Sometimes the most beautiful surprises come after the longest periods of waiting, and sometimes the greatest evidence of God's faithfulness is discovered when you finally realize that He was working all along, even during the moments when you thought nothing was happening. One day you may look back on this chapter and realize that what felt like a season of uncertainty was actually a season of preparation unlike any other. You may discover that many of the things you once viewed as obstacles were quietly directing you toward a path you could not yet see. It is often difficult to recognize purpose while living through pain. When days are heavy and answers seem distant, the future can feel hidden behind a wall of questions. Yet some of life's most meaningful developments begin long before they become visible. Seeds grow beneath the soil before anyone sees evidence of life. Foundations are built beneath the surface before a structure rises into view. In the same way, God often works in hidden places within the heart, long before external circumstances reveal what He has been doing. Throughout your journey, there have been moments when you felt overlooked. There have been times when your efforts seemed unnoticed and your faithfulness appeared unrewarded. There were occasions when you watched others receive opportunities while your own hopes remained suspended in uncertainty. Those experiences can leave deep emotional marks. They can create doubts. They can create questions. They can create a quiet weariness that settles into the soul. Yet, despite all of that, you continued moving forward. Perhaps not perfectly, perhaps not without fear, perhaps not without moments of frustration, but you continued. That matters more than you realize. Many people believe strength means never struggling, but true strength is revealed by perseverance through struggle. True strength is demonstrated when a person keeps believing there is meaning ahead, even when the road behind them contains disappointment. True strength is found in the decision to continue loving, hoping, trusting, and growing despite circumstances that encourage surrender. The fact that you are still here, still seeking purpose, still nurturing faith, and still carrying hope, is a testimony to a resilience that has been developed through years of experience. There is a strength within you that kept moving forward even on your darkest days. There were moments when you did not know how you would make it through another week, yet somehow you did. There were situations that seemed impossible to overcome, yet you survived them. There were disappointments that could have hardened your heart, yet compassion remains within you. There were reasons to become cynical, yet part of you still believes in goodness. These are not small things. They are evidence of growth. They are evidence of healing. They are evidence that God has been at work within your life in ways that may not always have been obvious. Sometimes people focus so heavily on what they have lost that they overlook what they have gained. They notice closed doors while missing the wisdom they acquired. They notice delays while overlooking the character that was strengthened. They notice the pain while missing the resilience that emerged from it. This does not mean losses should be ignored. Your pain mattered. Your disappointments mattered. Your grief mattered. But those experiences are not the complete story. Alongside every challenge, something valuable was also being formed. Patience was growing. Courage was developing. Understanding was deepening. Compassion was expanding. Faith was being refined. These qualities may not always be visible to others, but they are treasures that will influence every chapter ahead. There are people who spend their entire lives chasing external validation. They believe recognition will finally make them feel valuable. They believe success will finally make them feel secure. They believe acceptance from others will finally make them feel complete. Yet you have learned something many never discover. Real worth comes from something deeper. Your value was never dependent upon applause. Your significance was never dependent upon popularity. Your purpose was never dependent upon being understood by everyone around you. God created you with value long before anyone formed an opinion about you. He saw your potential before others recognized your gifts. He understood your purpose before you understood it yourself. This truth becomes especially important when life feels lonely. Some of the most faithful people experience seasons of isolation. Some of the kindest people endure seasons of misunderstanding. Some of the strongest people carry burdens in silence. If you have experienced any of these things, know that your loneliness was not proof of worthlessness. Your struggles were not proof of failure. Your delays were not proof of abandonment. God was present through every chapter. He was present when doors closed. He was present when plans changed. He was present when relationships ended. He was present when tears fell in private. He was present when nobody else understood what you were carrying. And He remains present now. Perhaps that is why there is reason for hope, even if every answer has not yet arrived. Hope is not the denial of difficulty. Hope is the confidence that difficulty does not have the final word. Hope is the belief that healing is possible after hurt. Hope is the belief that new opportunities can emerge after disappointment. Hope is the belief that your future contains possibilities greater than your current fears. The beautiful thing about God's timing is that it often surprises people, not because it follows human expectations, but because it frequently exceeds them in ways that could not have been predicted. Sometimes the surprise is not a dramatic event. Sometimes it is a gradual restoration of peace. Sometimes it is a renewed sense of purpose. Sometimes it is the arrival of people who genuinely appreciate your heart. Sometimes it is the discovery of strengths you never knew existed. Sometimes it is the realization that you have already become far stronger than the person who first entered the storm. Whatever form it takes, God's faithfulness often becomes most visible when people look back and recognize how many times they were sustained through situations that should have defeated them. Your journey has not been easy, but it has not been meaningless. Every lesson mattered. Every challenge taught something valuable. Every season contributed to your growth. The sacrifices you made mattered. The patience you practiced mattered. The faith you held on to mattered. The kindness you continued showing mattered. None of it was wasted. Even now, there may be moments when you wonder how everything will come together. There may still be unanswered questions. There may still be dreams waiting to unfold. But do not allow uncertainty to convince you that nothing is happening. God often works beyond what human eyes can immediately perceive. He is capable of opening doors you never imagined. He is capable of creating opportunities from unexpected places. He is capable of bringing encouragement through people you have not yet met. He is capable of restoring hope where disappointment once lived. Most importantly, He is capable of reminding you that your story is not finished. You have carried burdens that few people ever noticed. Your kindness cost you more than most people will ever understand. Some of your greatest victories happened quietly, when nobody was watching. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. Your story has value, even if it has not unfolded the way you expected. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. The seasons that tested you were also shaping you. And now, as you continue moving forward, carry this truth with you. Hard times do not define your destiny. Delays do not erase your purpose. Disappointment does not diminish your worth. You remain deeply valuable. You remain deeply loved. You remain someone whose journey matters. The God who carried you through yesterday is already present in tomorrow. And sometimes the most unexpected surprise is realizing that the strength, wisdom, resilience, and faith you were seeking have been growing within you all along, preparing you for blessings, opportunities, healing, and peace that are still ahead.